Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. Welcome back for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. We're going to have a co-host join us today, Connor Zilisch, the winner from the Xfinity race. And this episode is brought to you by Safety Culture. Thank you for everything they do. We're going to talk about the Xfinity Series win. We got all kinds of things going on. Dirty Mo Doe. That's going to be a fun episode today. Ask Junior. That'll be another great segment. So let's get to it. The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media. Hey everybody, it's Dale Jr. back again for another episode of the Dale Jr. Download. It's Dirty Air. It's Tuesday, and I'm here with my co-host, but it's not TJ Majors. We got a special co-host guest today. It's Connor Zilisch. What's up, Connor?
What's up? Thanks for having me. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Crew chief.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We got a lot to talk about. Thanks for giving us a little time today. And want to remind everybody that this episode of the Dale Jr. Download is brought to you by Safety Culture, the workplace operations tool giving teams from the racetrack to the factory floor what they need to get the job done quicker and improve every day. Safety Culture is a partner of Trackhouse, where Connor does a little cup racing.
Yeah, sure are. Actually, this weekend.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
What are the Safety Culture folks like? They pretty cool to work with?
Yeah, Trackhouse is very lucky to have a lot of good partners and people, and Safety Culture is one of them. They're mainly with Shane, but they've spread out and done some races across the board, and enjoying the NASCAR stuff. I think Shane brought them into it, and they're having fun.
That's good. Shane seems like a cool dude.
Yeah, he's awesome, and it took him a little bit to get warmed up to everything here, but. I go to his house and he's got this farm that he turned into a racetrack, and he bought these beater cars, and we go out there and race these beater cars around his farm. And he's a fun dude. He's cool. He
has not told anybody else about that.
Oh, shoot, maybe I shouldn't have, but now the world
beater
knows.
Car farm racetrack story. That's like a lot of people have done that over the years. We had a little go-kart track on the property, and I bought I cut a dirt track down at the bottom of the hill on my property.
Yeah.
And we bought 18 Revo indoor go-karts.
Yeah.
Gas powered though. And we'd race them on that dirt track, and we'd pack it and get it ready. We'd spend all day getting the track right, and get the top groove worked in. And we had a truck with racing slicks on that we would pack the track with.
Yeah.
And I piped in a water system from the creek, so we'd spray the track, and man, it was first class. Yeah, and we'd invite Junior Motorsports or Hendrick Motorsports. We'd have 150 people come out there.
Yeah,
and we'd have like heat races, and we'd spend all night, getting to an eventual main event.
It was a full show.
Yes, it was fun.
That's cool. Those are the most fun things to do. Friends.
Yeah, I got a bunch of pictures. I got a bunch of pictures because from one specific night where some people that SVG knows, Paul Morris and some other V8 supercar racers, had flown. They shipped one of their cars here. I kept it at my shop, and they were going to take it to the wind tunnel and do some other stuff with it. And Paul flew over here with a couple other guys, Owen Kelly, a couple other racers that would end up racing over here for a while. Owen ran an Xfinity race or two, ran my late model for a year. But Paul used to race V8 supercars, and we still talk today. Anytime SVG races, like he'll be out on the racetrack. Like we were at Mexico, and I'm texting Paul, and Paul's in Australia, and I'm like, "Hey man, tell me what he's doing with his feet. Tell me how he uses the clutch and stuff." So pretty cool, but that's cool. Yeah, those racetracks at the house. You got to build you one. You got.
I'm not. I still live with my mom and dad. I think they'd kill me if I tried to build a racetrack at our house.
I'm surprised, man. As mature as you are, you went off to Europe when you were 12.
Yeah.
And now you're back home, and you don't live alone. You're racing.
Yeah, I'm still
Xfinity
a kid.
Full time.
They don't pay me the big bucks yet.
You're gaming the system's what I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to pay any rent.
Sounds like Junior Motorsports needs to pay him a little more, Dale.
Whatever. He's doing good. He just made him a nice little check this weekend.
Yeah,
with that win at Pocono. The coolest thing that I learned about all of this is, so Isla, my oldest daughter, says she wants to grow up to be a gymnastics teacher. and I was talking to your mom and dad yesterday, and she said she was an Olympic gymnast for Canada.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I need to introduce you to Isla. Tell Isla how to do this thing she wants to do. She wants to be a teacher. But
it's funny.
Yeah, and then I tried to take them into the gift shop and get them a bag of
Jerky
bag
Boys.
of Jerky Boys beef jerky, but we're out. Can't keep
Sold
the
out.
stuff in stock. Yes.
Oh, that's a good problem to have.
My gosh. Yeah. Your dad apparently likes jerky, and I was like, man, I got the best jerky in the world.
I know. I need to
Gotta
get
try
some.
it.
I need to get some. I haven't tried it
Should
yet.
be some. They should have it in there now. That
right.
came in yesterday.
I'll go over there after this.
Put on Dale's tab.
God, yeah, you can have a free bag. Well, hey, let's talk about this race weekend. We had we'll get to the Cup race here in a bit. It'd be fun to get Connor's take on that. But obviously, the Xfinity race went really well for us. I was asked to sit on the pit box. Marty had gotten suspended a couple weeks ago for lug nuts. I remember that race. And I got the text message that Marty was going to be in trouble. Yep. And I was like, man, he's timed this perfectly because everybody knew about the challenges with the logistics to getting to Mexico. And I thought, well, he won't have to go through that, right? And he decided, he was going to actually go to Mexico and then forego the suspension toward the Pocono weekend.
He thought I was going to win at Mexico and not Pocono.
Is that right? Is that what was up?
I think no, but it would have been a pain in the butt to get all the travel stuff worked out. But when you were at Nashville for the Xfinity race, and it was the last stage, and I think the pit crew guys knew that they didn't hit 5 on the last stop.
Well, I guess we can tell this story. So
can we? I assume.
Yeah. Well, what the hell is going to happen?
Yeah.
So Marty is out there. You're running second.
Yeah. I had a chance to win. I was me and Allgaier, and we had the field covered.
We knew. I get a text message with like 30 laps to go. There are lugs missing on your wheel. If we finish the race, we're absolutely getting suspended.
And it's a fine. There's a hefty fine that goes along with it too.
There was a conversation of bringing you to pit road.
Yeah.
And putting the lugs on so you don't get suspended. Or we stay out there, finish the race, and take the suspension. Which I'm sure is kind of common. I mean, I'm sure that teams that are in this situation have this very conversation every time. So it's probably not too taboo to speak about it. But, so we're sitting there going, Well, I was like, listen, me and Mike Bumgarner, were talking about it in the infield. And I said, I'm getting ready to go to Victory Lane, and they're like, "Hey, man, should we pit and not get suspended?" I was like, "That's a Marty decision." Well, Marty wants to stay out there, and I was like, "Well, he gets suspended, he won't have to go to Mexico." And they're like, "Well, maybe," and he ends up getting suspended. He decided to go to Mexico, thinking you were going to win the race. You ended up destroying the race car.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Finishing 5th or something, right? 5th?
Yeah, 5th. Yeah. I don't know how. I finished 5th.
I don't either.
We did.
Apparently you had the damn ball joint was about to break in half. And
yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
He ends up taking Pocono off. Well, he texts me. I probably still have the text. You want to crew chief the car? I was like, are you serious? Like who else is going to do this?
A prank?
We had Mike Bumgarner, who has crew chiefed our cars in the past. He's kind of like our top dude, technical director, runs everything on the shop floor kind of guy. Goes to racetrack, oversees everything between the 4 cars, or 5 at times. We got Corey Shea, who's done some pit crew or crew chiefing for the 5th car. We got all kinds of talented, incredible people. Pat on your car could have done it.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody could have done it besides, I'm not anybody, but anybody besides me. There's multiple people. So I was like, what is going on? What is he trying to do? And Marty's a little bit of a wild card like that. He's kind of done it and seen it all kind of guy. So he knows, he wants to have a little fun every now and then. And there's a unique relationship connection between our families. His dad, I'm sure, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, Connor, but for the people listening, his dad, Butch Lindley, is still today considered by many people in the industry as the best short track racer in history. In the 70s, he raced in the late model and sportsman division, which is now the Xfinity Series, and he was really unbeatable. Beautiful blue or beautiful red, number 16. Anytime you see that car, it's just like, you think right away what a talented man that Butch was. My dad raced against him. They had some battles. Dad won a couple, but usually got beat by Butch. And so there was some big respect there. Marty was growing up as a kind of a grunt mechanic, trying to find his way through the sport without his father's guidance. And my dad would have his guys pick Marty up on the way to the racetrack. I remember riding in a 15-passenger van one specific weekend going to Atlanta. We didn't fly on planes. We used to drive in the van, and we're driving down the interstate, and we pulled off in South Carolina on an exit ramp and picked Marty up. And he went with us and was part of the team that weekend. And Marty would come in and out of our lives as a mechanic and then got himself into racing and ended up being a really, really good short track racer himself in Pro Cup and stuff like that. So his driving career doesn't take off. He goes into crew chiefing finally. And before he worked with Junior Motorsports, he was at Kyle Busch Motorsports doing trucks. So anyways, it's pretty cool that we get to work together. When we had the opportunity to hire Marty, I was thrilled because of the connection. So here we are, fast forward, and he's like, you should do this. You should crew chief the car this weekend. He's like, don't worry about it. The guys know everything they need to do. You won't have to really, worry about adjustments and all the really fringe details. And he said, what you will have to do, I think you can do. And I was like, all right. I didn't even know what those things were, but it was fun. And I'm glad I did it. I got to the race. I was like, hey, I want to be in the meetings. I want to just know everything I can know. And I came to Tech on Friday, followed the car through Tech. I told Amy, I said, I'm going to go to the racetrack. Our girls and Amy were at a house in Pocono. We had went to Hershey Park the day before, which was awesome. They're at the house, and I said, I'm going to the racetrack. I'll be there from probably 10 to 2 max. I just want to show my face, see what, just kind of be there. I did not want to walk up on Saturday right before the race and hop on the boot box, and that'd be the first thing I did. So Tech didn't go well. We ended up failing, having to park over back by the trailer and wait for them to call our name again. They called us again around 2 o'clock, and we go back through. They didn't like our side skirt. They passed it the first time. The second time through, they didn't like the side skirt. They saw something on our other cars that they were like, oh, well, we'll check it on this 88 a little closer. Well, they made us take the side skirt off and put a brand new one on. And we had some spares in the trailer. We had to do a little hacksaw and cutting for that. And but we get the car through Tech, and then I could take off and get to the house. So that was fun, thrilling.
You were working on it in Tech.
It was an adrenaline rush. I can't, I can work on a race car. I know how I can look at that race car and tell you what every part is, how it works, why it works the way it works. Now the new Cup car, I can somewhat do that, but I don't know it as well. All the physics and geometry and all that stuff still work the same, but all the parts look different, right? So still learning on the Cup side on the next gen, but I can look at that Xfinity car, and I've built those cars. And so that was really comfortable. On race day.
Well, hold on a second, Connor. When you found out that Dale was the crew chief, what was your thoughts and what was going through your mind?
Yeah. Well, at first I thought it was a joke. Marty texted me like 2 weeks ago and was like, I think we're gonna have Dale crew chief it. And I texted Dale and I was like, so you're crew chiefing this thing at Pocono? And I don't think he knew for sure at the time either. He's like, oh, we'll see, maybe. And
I was like, man, I don't know how I didn't even think about how you felt about this.
No, I felt good about it.
Was there any pressure? Like, was there like, oh crap, now I got Dale Jr.?
Yeah, definitely. There was definitely some extra, because I can't let him come out here crew chief at one time and we go run 15th. Like, that would be embarrassing. So yeah, definitely there was some added pressure, but I just wanted to enjoy it, honestly. Like, it was just such a cool experience and such a cool weekend, and I hate Marty wasn't there to sit in victory lane with us and do his woos and have fun with us. But at the same time, it was cool to be able to miss a key part of your team and still be able to go to victory lane. So yeah, I was shocked at first when Marty told me, and I didn't believe it, and it took about a week, and then I get a text on Monday. Yeah, I'll be at your meeting on Wednesday for the pre-race meeting, and I was like, man, he's taking it seriously. And then I got to the pre-race meeting, and Marty told me that you were going to pit practice, and I was like, wow. I was like, that's good. I respect the dedication, right? If you're gonna do it, you don't just want to show up on Saturday and sit on the pit box and have someone tell you what to do in your ear.
Yeah.
I'm glad you embraced the role and did it the right way. And I think it was definitely played a part of us having a successful day. Having you understand the goals and the strategy and be able to manage the race from your end a little more seriously. And I definitely think you had more say than you expected to.
Yes, man. So that was the best part. Everything went really good. I stood by the pit box for practice, watched our lap times, got a lot of confidence in our car. We were in Group B, a couple cars, the 7 and the 17, which were eventually we would understand, and we assumed would be the best cars that weekend. We're in Group A. We fired off a little off of them. The entire second group kind of did, but our car started to match those fast cars, the 17 and the 7, after a few laps. And I'm thinking, hey, we're in a different group. I think our group is a little slower. Track's warmed up. It's a little hotter. But we're running as well as those guys at lap 5 and on through. Like, we got a really good race car. We got a winning car. And it was your first laps on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Literally, the very first lap you ran on the racetrack went to P2 on the board.
Yeah.
And listen, dude, I mean, I know you hear this all the time, and you're young, and I didn't know how to take praise of any kind really when I was your age either, but that is a very rare quality, and it speaks to your talent. It speaks to the just raw ability that you just possess, the God-given skill, but also it speaks to your preparedness, your attention to detail when you're simming, working with Josh Wise, all of the things, how you're absorbing all of the meetings and the conversations. So when you go out there on the racetrack, you're not exploring, you're ready to hit the track and go make a lap, and that is so freaking awesome to be on a crew when you have a driver that can go out there and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Do you remember going to places for the first time, back?
Yeah.
It's intimidating. Like, I was going down the front straightaway for the first time, and I got off 3, and I'm like, I needed damn binoculars to see turn 1, and I was like, this is fast.
Yeah. I remember pulling out on the racetrack for Talladega. My dad called me one day and asked me to come test his Xfinity car, and I was 16. And we went to I showed up to Talladega, and they were testing motors, and he said, "All right, get in." I'd only raced a street stock, maybe some late model stock stuff too. But, short tracks, yeah, half mile. And nothing more than 360 horsepower. So I pull out on the racetrack, and I'm looking down the back straightaway, and I see the bank in a turn 3 off in the distance, and the track wraps around toward turn 4, and I'm thinking, how does it not fly out of the racetrack? Like, when I get down here, how do I not just ramp on out of this place?
And they tell you got to be flat out.
Yeah, they're like, well, even back then, he might have been lying just to make sure I wouldn't lift, but he's like, if you lift off the gas, you're gonna burn the pistons. It's it's jetted a certain way that you got to stay in the throttle. You can't lift; it'll burn the motor. So he scared me into running wide open. But yeah, I remember, I remember going to racetracks and being pretty intimidated, and mainly just not so much. I mean, I knew I was going to have. We had a lot of practice,
Yeah,
You got
we
20
get
minutes.
20 minutes, and we're very fortunate to have simulators that are so accurate.
Yes.
In the simulators, we were running the exact same lap times that we fired off at. And that's tough sometimes. Like some weeks, we miss it. Mexico, we missed it. We were 3 seconds faster in the simulator than we were at the racetrack. And there's times that, you hit it and times you don't. And this weekend was definitely one of the ones where, Justin did a really good job tuning the tire to make it as accurate as possible.
That's good. Well, it was pretty impressive. Here's a little inside knowledge. So there's some changes that'll happen to the car between practice to qualifying and then back to the race. Let's say there's a short list of things they'll change and adjust, and they're probably relatively common and similar week to week. It's not like a challenging puzzle. But Pat, I saw the list of things we're going to change, and I'm like, yep, I don't need to look at this. Pat is going to do it. That's not something I need to worry about. So there's one thing that I didn't do, right? There's a crew chief job that I wasn't privy to or wasn't really messing with. But I was still really not doing a whole lot other than just trying to being present for practice and so forth. And sort of, just kind of starting to make relationships with these guys, right, on the team. It was fun talking to your guys and getting to know them even better. Where were they working before they came to us? Where did they go to school? What did they want to be when they grew up? All those things. So had some great conversations, and by the time we get to Saturday, we were ready. We had went to the track house facility in Concord. I did 3 stops with the practice crew with them during practice. They, I think, set that up just for me to really get a couple reps. They weren't really practicing that day. So that was super nice of them to do that. Literally, this is the same. Marty does this job, so this wasn't like we didn't change anything. I just took Marty's place. He does this job for the pit stops every week. Basically, the left front tire's laying flat on pit wall. When the car comes in, everybody gets, once everybody kind of gets out of my way, I can take that tire, set it on the ground, but there's a stripe across the surface of the tire that signifies where one of the lug holes is, so that when the carrier grabs it, he can see that stripe and know to line that stripe up with one of the studs. And so I have to make sure that stripe is at top dead center, 12 o'clock. So I put the tire on the ground with the stripe at the bottom, and I roll the tire forward toward the car to where when I get it out there fully extended, the stripe's at the top. I got to get it out of the way of the jack man, so I don't slow him down.
Yep.
And as well as the changer, they both got to get through. And that's it. He grabs the tire, and then my attention may go immediately to the right front. Did it get over clean? He rolls the right front to me and the sign guy. We got to make sure we corral all of those things and make sure they don't get loose and get a penalty. So it's pretty simple. If it goes right, it's easy. But we've seen some problems in the past where we've gotten popped for some penalties where those things can go wrong. So one little thing, everybody has to do everything right. But that was fun. I was more nervous about that than anything else.
I would be too. Yeah.
It's
a small job, but it's a big responsibility.
And they were the first. So we did 3 stops at practice, and each stop they were like, "Hey, you can't do that. You got to change this. Hey, I need you to do this. That's not going to work." And so they're serious, and those guys are pros, and they're like, "If you do it this way, we're good. If you don't screw that part up or this part or that part, we're going to be a little slower. So they were serious about it, and they held me accountable. That was fun. So that was probably what I was most worried about. We get on the pit box, and I asked Marty. I said, "Hey, do you go to the car?" Because I didn't really want to go.
Yeah.
I didn't want to not be there. If you're used to Marty being there, I wanted to be there. Marty's like, "I don't go to the car." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Marty's different, than most crew chiefs I've ever worked with. He does things a little differently.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've not worked with enough to know, but I've worked with a few, and they all do things differently, and you got to get used to it.
Yeah, but like most of my crew chiefs would eventually come out to the car and give you knuckles or something, right? Marty doesn't go out to the car, so I was like, all right, I won't go to the car either. Then I don't need to be showing up out there for no reason. I asked Steve Letarte. I said, hey, Steve Letarte is one of my best friends, and as I said to him a couple days ago, I was like, man, you always have a way. A good friend knows when to be there. And Steve's the kind of guy that if you're getting ready to get involved in something, say we're going to do some broadcasting work or something, and he knows a shortcut or a tip or of any kind, he'll be like, hey, man, they're going to ask you this. Make sure you know this or whatever, right? He's going to give you the answer to a quiz on, a question on the quiz, so to speak, metaphorically. He's that kind of guy. And he always, if he can help you out or if he can help you cut a corner, he's gonna give you the answers. And so that's the kind of friends you want. And I told him, I said, hey man, I think you should come up and hang out. And he's like, oh, I'm not gonna miss that. And I told him what I was gonna do on the pit stops. I said, that's what you probably want to watch because that's the part that I'll probably screw up.
Yeah.
And I was like, otherwise, man, come hang out on the pit box. If you see something, say something. I ain't too proud. I'm not a crew chief, right? I'm not going in there going, I got this.
Yeah.
So I was like, everybody come hang out. If anybody, sees a way we can make this better, let's do it. So I didn't care. He come and hung out a little bit. He got up there in the middle of stage one or so. I can't remember exactly when, but he hopped up there. He just sat over there quiet, talking to some of our guys on the pit box, which I thought was cool for them.
Yeah.
And, we're, green flag drops, and that's when all the kind of anxiety and nerves went away. As soon as you come off a turn, we had a little conversation before the race or under the pace lap. Say, everybody, rah, 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 we're going to have a good day. This is awesome. Pit crew, they're confident. I can see in their faces, they got this. They know what they're doing. They work on Sundays. This is no big deal.
Yeah.
Pat's feeling good. Guys on the box are feeling good. Everybody's pumped. And I think the reason why everybody felt like this was going to be okay was because we had been meeting and sitting and talking for the last 4 or 5 days, right?
Yeah, it's nothing new.
The vibe that I got from Marty was almost like he gave us the playbook on Wednesday, and then he just kind of sat back and was like, as we get the race started, I'm like, yeah. Man, we're on our own. So Pat is Marty's car chief right-hand man.
They've been together before here.
Yep. Been together for a long time. Pat is on the ground with the crew. Never came up on the box, maybe once. But he was the brains. He was the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. And so it was so much fun, dude. I'm telling you, I wish I could relive this day over and over and over, because once we get through about halfway through stage one, and that was a very basic, hey, we're going to run to the finish. We don't need to flip that stage. It's not even a conversation.
Yep.
If we're going to flip a stage, it's stage two.
Yep.
Stage one straightforward.
Points, yeah.
Don't need gas, not going to pit, blah blah blah. So we ran that stage, and it was good that it was that way. And I think every first stage in every race for the Xfinity Series is probably just pretty straightforward. There's no stopping, can go on a tank of fuel. So, okay, so that was nice. I looked over on a sheet of paper that the engineers were writing on. We're up there just writing notes like crazy.
Yeah,
I write a lot of notes. I know I'm rambling, everybody, but
No, I want to hear this.
I write a lot of notes because I'll write down something, and you may see this if you ever sit around me. I write down that's very obvious sometimes, but I need to write it for my mind to remember it. I can remember things by reading it off of a page, but if my hand writes it, it's like locked in.
Yeah.
And so I'll be sitting down there thinking about things that I know I need to remember for stage 2 or for stage 3, and I'll just write them down, and that locks it right in my brain. And that's how I work. And that's the way I do broadcasting as well. And so I look over at the engineer, and he had 2 rounds TB track bar. And I was like, oh, nope. And I was like, Pat. He comes over. I'm looking down. I'm like, man, I think it was this what we were talking about. I was like, you're going to put 2 rounds in the screw jack? He goes, yeah, screw jack. And the engineer, there was just somebody got a little confused about what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't remember. But I looked down at Pat and I was like, Pat, you got them boys, you got that figured out? You got them boys straight? Because the crew guys are the ones that are going to go over the wall to do this.
Yeah.
Right? They can't stick it in the wrong hole and turn the wrong screw jack. That was the moment where the switch flipped. That's when it started to feel comfortable, and I started to really feel like, I started to understand what my involvement in my role was. And so from that moment on, we got into stage 2. There's about 3 different strategies that you can do at this point. We can stay out and win the stage, pit at that moment, and we're going to lose a lot of track position, but we've got great stage 1 and stage 2 points plus a playoff point, and then I can just say, hey, man, you're going to race from 12th or so and get the best result you can give me. Or we can flip the stage, come in a little bit early, give up the stage point, give up the playoff point, and put ourselves in a really good position to win the race. That's what the 17 and the 7 did. We needed to be within about 10 seconds of the leader to do that. We were. Or we could win the stage, continue to run into stage 3, not pit, and only pit one more time and race it to the finish. That is the best strategy because we win the stage, we get the stage points plus the playoff points, and we get all of the track position. And now we are the leader. But we'll have a little bit of a tire deficit, and we can't. And if we lose the lead, now we're at a tire deficit and we're in dirty air.
Yeah.
So then your job gets really hard as a driver. This is sort of similar to what we had done in 2014 with Steve and I, and this was something that we as a team had talked about in our meeting Wednesday. And the one thing that was important, I think, was when we left you out when the 17 and the 7 come to pit road and you now are the lead car. I think in that moment you gained a ton of confidence in the car, right? You're driving away from these guys. Yeah. You can see it, right? Up to that point, in my mind, we're getting beat by the 17 that day. Unless, you can kick some ass on a late restart or something. 17 was the best car.
Yeah.
7 and us were about even. Maybe this, whoever's going to be in front was probably going to control the second place finish. So that's kind of how it was looking to me. But when we were able to get out there and have a couple restarts and a few other things where you could drive away, I think it flipped the switch in all of our minds, yours most importantly, that, hey, man, if we have this track position, we're good enough to keep it.
Yeah.
Right? And even if that 17 gets in my mirror,
I can hold him off.
I'm going to hold his ass off.
Yeah.
Right? And so that was really important. And that was something I wasn't planning for that, but that's something that started to happen. It gave you confidence. It gave us the confidence to gamble on this risky sort of strategy because it was a risk on fuel. And I'm standing there talking. Tanner is sitting next to me. Tanner's our engineer. Tanner is in his first year with us. Tanner worked with Nice at the trucks for the last 2 years. He's been in NASCAR for 4 years flat. Before that, he was going to UNC Charlotte, I believe.
Yeah, engineer.
Not even thinking about racing. So this guy's still very green, super sharp though. And every question I had for him that weekend, he had an answer for. But I'm standing up pacing at this point. And I'm like, man, should we do this? This is crazy. Because if I run his ass out of gas, I'm going to look like the biggest dumbass. Everybody's going to go, told you so.
This is why we
Dale
shouldn't have done this.
Yep, this is exactly why we shouldn't have done this. Look at Dale, dummy. And so I'm like, but man, we could. This is so easy. This is exactly what we did in 2014, and this is we talked about this. This seems like the obvious thing to do. And I'm standing over Tanner, going, "Hey, are you sure about this fuel? Are you sure?" I'm like standing over him.
Kid.
I am, and I would walk away. I'd walk to the back of the pit box, and I'd holler from back there, "Tanner, you sure?" Every like 5 seconds. And I am trying to get him to crack because
you want him to say no so you can.
I want him to. I'm beating it out of him like I'm trying to get him to crack and go, "Oh, I don't know. I don't really know." You know. But every time he's like, "It'll work. We're good. We're good to 70. We're good to 70." And that's set lap 70, right?
Yeah.
And that gets us in our window.
Yeah. It's
I'm
32,
like, all right.
33 laps.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, we're gonna be. I said to him, I want to be one lap to the good. Like, I want to be able to run 101 laps confidently.
Yeah.
Our race was 100 laps. I said, if we get a yellow, we'll save the fuel we need for the green, white, checkered during that period. But I want to be, can you tell me that I can go to 101? He's like, yep. And then I'd get up, walk away, and I'd holler from the back of the pit box, "You sure, Tanner? Tanner!" And I mean, I'm trying to get him to waver a little bit, but he's solid, man. He's like, "Nope, I'm confident. We got this." And I'm like, "All right, we're doing it. We're doing it. Staying out."
Yeah.
And you win the stage. Awesome. Held the track position, got to stage point, and then Steve says to me, he's sitting there. He's like, "All right, man." He's like, "You need to tell everybody on the radio what you're doing." I was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you need as many people as you can to buy into this. They're scanning you."
Yeah. All the crew chiefs are listening to our radio, and
That's right.
We have an audio transcript too on the GM tools,
Yep.
so we can have everyone's radios and read what they're saying.
Yeah. So that was where Steve comes in. He's like, "Hey man, tell everybody what you're doing." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm telling you, "Hey Connor, guess what we're gonna do? Blah 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 blah." I paint the whole story out, right? And oh man, we're gonna win this race. You just watch. This is great strategy. Here's what's happening. And the two, another Chevy driver, and the 16, the colleague car, they stay out. They do this with us. Whether it was because they heard what we were doing, well, it doesn't really matter. But we needed a buffer between us and the 17.
Yeah, I needed some space to get to the lead on the restart.
Keep the clean air. Yeah. So that was pretty neat. Whether you're on the track or the job, wherever you are, things can go wrong. All right, mistakes and mishaps happen. It's just part of it. What matters is how fast you see them and what you do next. That's where safety culture comes in. You might recognize safety culture from being one of the Trackhouse Racing sponsors, but what you may not know is that Safety Culture is an app that gives your team a simple way to flag issues, assign tasks, and schedule maintenance all right there in real time. You see a problem, you take a photo, tag somebody, done. This allows things to get fixed with no waiting or back and forth. And the best part, everybody sees it, from the crews on the ground to the head office making key decisions. No one is guessing. Everyone is on the same page, keeping your business running smoothly. In motorsports, work is fast-paced, and we have no time for second guessing. If crew chiefs, drivers, and pit crews aren't on the same page, it could cost you the race. Safety Culture helps your business operate like a well-oiled race team, keeping everything running smoothly and in sync. When everyone's on the same page from the floor to the front office, things run smoother, your team gets better every day. That is what Safety Culture is all about. Want to see how it could work for your crew? Head to safetyculture.com/SVG. You know what? In the end, the strategy really didn't matter. So, if you don't lose the lead, we could say that the strategy was one of the main reasons why we won the race. But, we talked about the restarts. there, I got all this data in front of me telling me, all right, man, if you line up in the outside line 71% of the time, you're going to gain a spot, blah, 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 blah. I got all this information, this whole report in front of me to sort of help understand what we need to do and to give you information. You had the same report. You've read it. You studied it all week. And so we're doing what we can on restarts. Unfortunately, on one particular restart, we didn't get the push we needed. The inside line did a better job. They got off into the corner, and we lost the lead. And I'll turn it over to you at this point. Now it's in your hands. I've done what I can do on the pit box, but now we're in stage 3, and you're not coming back to pit road, thankfully.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about setting a tire on the ground and doing something wrong. But now you got to drive the race car. You've got to figure out a way to get the lead back. So what's going through your mind at that particular point when you've had all, I've told you, hey, man, if we keep the lead, this is what we got. Yeah, this is what's happening. This is what I need. And restart didn't go our way. And
well, the first one did. So in stage 3, the first one goes our way, and I get the lead, and Jesse's in second, and the 17 and the 7 are behind him, and Justin's trying to pass him, and Justin couldn't get by him, and the 17 passes Justin and gets into third, and I'm leading the race, and I'm watching the 2 get smaller and smaller and smaller, and I'm driving away as the 2's holding them off. And I talked to Jesse about this yesterday, and I was like, you won me that race. Like that was important, right? To have the 2 hold the 17 off, because we had to run 10 laps in stage 3 to get into our fuel window before we could pit. So you told me, all right, these 10 laps, we got to run qualifying laps, get out front, and set yourself a gap. And Jesse was able to hold the 17 off. And Justin actually told me, he was like, the 17 was so damn close to wrecking the 2 because he was just blocking, and the 17 would get to his right rear in the middle of the corner, and Jesse would just clear high and take it. And Justin said that the 17 was about to wreck him. So he finally gets by, and when he gets clear of the 2, the 17 was 3,
flying.
4. Oh my God, he was absolutely flying. And we pit on what, lap 67? We pit a little earlier than we anticipated we were going to.
Yeah, we could run to 70. But we were losing that time we were losing to the 17 was critical. We couldn't stay out. We needed to pit. We were going to run another lap or 2, but we were losing. The way it was going to cycle was going to put us behind the 17 if it's when it's all said and done, because he's got to come to pit road too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone's got to pit. We just have less opportunity to go farther into the window. So he's coming, and he gets within 5 car lengths, and you tell me to pit. So. Actually, I looked at it yesterday, and that was like the best pit road run anybody did all race. That one I did, I nailed it. So, it was we did the green flag stop. Our stop was really good, and I look in the mirror, and the 2 car is a straightaway behind, and I'm like, all right, that was a good cycle. And then the caution comes out, and immediately I was like, hell yeah! And you
Perfect.
come over the radio, you're like, this is gonna work out great for us. I had 1 lap on my tires at the time, maybe not even a lap. We cycle back to the lead. Everybody else has to pit, and we don't have to pit. We just pitted. We're good to the end on fuel. This helps our fuel even more because we need these cautions to give you some peace on the pit box. Make sure that we're gonna get to the end of the race. So the caution saved us, and I was able to restart from the lead, and that was the restart that I didn't get a good push. And I think the 7 and the 17 were on the bottom, and the 2 was lined up out back behind me, and the 17 and the 7 got such a good run, and they both passed me down into 1. And I was running third for a little bit, and then another caution comes out, and I think this is the caution where the 7 and the 17 about wrecked each other. With Justin was underneath the 17, and I was row 2 on the outside. And Justin drives it off in there, and just the 17's on his door, and Justin got loose and slid up the track and hit the 17. And that was the moment where I was like, I have a chance to win this race now, because I was behind the 2 and the 16, and I knew we were better than them. And whatever, a few more cautions come out, and with 10 to go, I think we restart. And I'm restarting from third in row 2. And it's funny because in stage 1, you were getting warmed up to the crew chief role, and you
Yep.
were more quiet. And by the time we got to stage 3, I mean, you're on the radio. We're gonna win this race. You gotta go execute this restart, and you're pumping me up. Marty doesn't do that on the radio. He's a more quiet guy, but you were kicking me in the ass on the radio, and I could feel the emotion through the radio. It was cool. And you were amped up and telling me what to do with the side draft and coaching me up as much as you could. And that last restart, I passed the 16. I start row 2 on the outside. I get by the 16, and I've got 8 laps to get by the 2, and we're a good bit faster. And I was pressuring them. And one thing about the Xfinity cars is that I've had to learn is the bubble is so big. When you get behind a guy, and you can have a run off the corner, and you can come 3 back, 2 back, and you get to 1 back, and you push them away in the air.
Yep.
And it's tough to pass because of that, because you can have such a good run off the corner, but it doesn't matter because you lose it right when you get within that bubble. So I realized that I was going to have to make my pass on the entry of the corner, and I was going to have to try and pack air and get them loose and do something like that to pass the 2. So I'm pressuring them, and I'm a lot better in the tunnel turn. And every lap in the tunnel turn, I'm making up ground, and I'm getting really close. And one lap, I get within 2 or 3 car lengths of him, and in the tunnel turn, and we're going into 3, and I drive it off in there to try and get to his inside to pack air, get to his left rear quarter panel and get him loose. And he did it himself. He made himself get loose. I didn't even have to do anything. So he overdrove the corner, and I was able to get up under him. And one thing that Jesse did that I actually thought was really smart, that after the race, I took note of it. But when I came off the corner at his left rear, and I pull away so that I can time the side draft at the end of the straightaway to get the run and clear him into the corner. And he actually lifted as soon as we got onto the straightaway so that he could get to my right rear and side draft me into the corner. So that was pretty smart of him. I told him yesterday, I gave him some props for that, but I still ended up clearing him down into 1. Our car, we just, wrapped the bottom and got by him, and that was the race winning move. But it was a cool day. And were you nervous? As a driver, you get those restarts and you're nervous, and I imagine it's the same from the pit box, or even more, because you have
you're not in control.
Yeah,
you're
at
not
that
driving
point,
a car. I think you're more nervous as a driver. You're more nervous as a driver because you are the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
As in the owner or the crew chief, you're more like the tight end or a receiver. There's other players on the field, and there's other things going on, but the quarterback's kind of got the ball in his hands at all times. And as an owner, you don't offer nothing to the weekend.
You're there. You're just there.
Yeah, you were there, and it's like, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but damn, man, there's no sense of competition, right?
Yeah.
You're not really part of what's happening. But I learned a few things that I need to be. I need to be more visible on the radio. I've always not done that because I didn't want you can't do it all for all 4 all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be like, oh, well, he loves Carson. Carson raced his late models. He's going to take care of him and not do what he need, not do the same for the other guys. I didn't want anybody to get twisted.
Yeah.
So I would always really be kind of hands off, but this weekend really helped me. This weekend was so helpful for me in so many ways beyond just crew chiefing an Xfinity car and understanding what that looks like. I gained a bunch of confidence to go into the booth on Sunday and actually join Steve a little on talking strategy. Usually whenever we get into a pit cycle or strategy conversation, I step back.
Yeah,
it's
he
Steve. That's his job. That's what he's there for. But I felt like that, man, I could confidently add a little or agree with him or bolster his point of view. And that was helpful. So, and I know, hey, people are going to go, yeah, you your crew chief won race, then, but like it really did like give me a little bit of confidence to sort of
understand
help
more.
support, help support Steve. I kind of understand. I always understand because Steve's so good at describing what we're about to see. He's way ahead of it, but I usually never got involved in that conversation. The other thing that it helped me with was being more communicative on the radio, like speaking, telling you guys what I see and think.
Yeah, it was funny. When you were one of the cautions come out, and you're telling me, side drafts. You were talking to me about that, and then you said something else, and you're like, "I know I'm talking a lot," and I was like, "Yeah, like no, keep talking." And I guess I had to give you the confidence that that I am listening, and I'm 18. It's my first year racing this stuff. I have plenty to learn, and you're a guy who's learned those things, and if you can tell me something that if you can tell me something that can save me from making a mistake or save me from having to learn it myself, then that's helpful. And I was definitely taking in what you were saying, and it was helpful. It's not often you have someone on the pit box that has been through what you're as a driver, what you're about to go through. And Marty's got a racing background, and he's able to help, but it's different when you're up there and you're able to tell me things that I can use and utilize on the racetrack, and that was cool to be able to have that. And I'm glad that, because usually you're there and you watch the race, and you don't have much say, and you don't talk on the radio, and you definitely made a difference on Saturday and helped me.
Some people, and I was a little bit this way, some people, so when you're racing a car or really doing any kind of a job, how much information are you able to absorb at the same time as you're doing this job? Can you handle one person talking to you? Can you handle 2 lines of communication, 3, 4, 5, all at the same time? Some people aren't built that way. You got a spotter, you got a crew chief, you may have an owner that's conversational as well, like a Roger Penske or a Hendrick that'll drop in every now and then. There is a point, I guess, where I thought, man, you could say so much that you take his focus off of the most important thing, and that was, what he needed to be thinking to get this restart right or whatever, right? And so it was pretty impressive to see you kind of be able to take every little piece of advice and put it on the right shelf in your mind, and know where it was, and know when to use it, and know when to go to it when it was time to use that advice. And that's a very good quality to have. But listen, man, when it all comes down to the end, it wasn't nothing about the pit strategy. It wasn't anything about what the crew chief did. You drove the car. You got the lead when we needed it at the end of the race. You made the moves that got us into victory lane. It was it still hasn't really sunk in. Like I was standing there thinking, when you come off of turn 4 and we're going to win this, or turn 3, yeah. I can't see you. I'm watching on the monitor a little bit, but when you come off the corner and started yelling, I was like, he knows he's going to win. He knows, he knows he's going to win this race. That was like such a relief.
Yeah. No, that's the best thing ever. When you come off the corner, you haven't even made it to the finish line yet, and that damn button.
Yeah,
it's always there. It's always there. If you're gonna say something, you got to have the button on.
It doesn't feel as good if you don't. Somebody doesn't hear it. Right? Yeah, somebody has to hear it, even the good and the bad.
Yeah, exactly. No, as soon as I came off the corner, that's the first thing I went to.
Yeah. The guys jump. It was so much fun, man. Sitting on that pit box, you can't really see out into the pit road because of the monitors.
Yep.
But I could see the water and everything flying up in the air.
That's cool.
So I know that there's a celebration going on down there.
You just can't see it.
And I turned around, and me and the guys on the pit box were. Amy said that we might all broke each other's ribs. I got up the next day, and I was sore all over.
You didn't know why.
we were punching the shit out of each other and back slapping.
That's cool.
I had 2 ribs out on my right side the next morning. I know shit. Like I woke up sore from all of the
Hey, it's a good reason to be sore.
I think we've done a good job sort of putting a bow on the Xfinity.
Hey, one more
race.
thing. In Victory Lane, I told Dale, I said, I got out of the roof hatch, right? And he said, you didn't. It was funny.
Yeah.
So what did you think about that?
Well, I said on this show several weeks ago that if anybody comes out of the roof hatch, I assume they're cheating up the roof hatch, and that they've opened this roof hatch to
This is turned on you.
So NASCAR, when they tech it later, if they find something, well, I've opened it. It could have happened when we opened it to celebrate.
Yeah.
And so, because I'll tell you where this comes from. Used to racing at DEI, had a teammate, Michael Waltrip, Slugger Labby, the Blue 15. When we went to Talladega Daytona, I knew I was racing the 15 for the win. Me and him were going to help each other if we could, and it really came down to who was leading at the end, who was going to win and who was going to help.
Yeah.
And if I could cycle myself somehow early in the race in front of him, then he was going to help me win. And if somehow he was in front late, I was going to be the one helping him. And I knew what they did to their cars, and I knew what we did to our cars. We'd come down pit road on early in the race, start taking rounds out of both back springs, getting the car down. Yep, you'd cross the tech legal, and then you'd make it illegal in the race, and everybody did all these things, but we were doing it. And I knew that Slugger was aggressive, and we were too with our car. You had to be, and we were sharing a lot of information, but there were other things that maybe we didn't share. And Michael would come out of the roof hatch when they won. And I'm like, they must be messing with that roof hatch. I bet that roof hatch is cheated up.
Yeah.
Because if you can raise that roof hatch a little bit during the lap, it'll knock the air off the spoiler. And I'm like, I bet they're doing something. So that's kind of where I have carried that from.
Yeah.
And you don't see many people pop out of the roof hatch, and if they're doing it at Daytona and Talladega, I'm absolutely thinking your ass is cheating. I don't care if it's Junior Motorsports. And so
you don't care if you're the crew chief.
Yeah. Now everybody's coming out of the roof hatch when we win.
Yeah. Well, Justin told me, he said before the race, he's like, if you win the race, you have to get out of the roof hatch because you were my crew chief. And you said that. So I that was the first thing I did when I stopped is I popped that thing open and climbed out.
It's a cooler way to get out of the car.
Yeah, it's a really. Yeah.
I hate them. I think it's goofy looking.
Than getting out through the window?
I know why they're there. So if you get trapped up against the fence or something in a crash, you can come out of the car. Because popping the side window out, climbing that way with all the headrests, it's just not possible. So I understand why we have them, but I just. I
like getting out of the roof. I think it looks cool.
Really?
I do like it.
Yeah.
I'm not with you on this one.
I think I will disagree. I think it's cartoonish.
Okay.
But hey, I've never come out of one. Maybe I would enjoy it.
Yeah. It don't matter how you get out of the car when you win. I mean,
that's for sure.
Who cares?
Hey, TJ, I like that phone. Is it new?
Yeah, I got this awesome new phone. I've recently joined the Consumer Cellular family, and they hooked me up with a great phone and great service.
You're telling me that your phone actually works at the racetracks?
Yeah, my phone has been excellent at the racetracks, and honestly, you can't beat the Consumer Cellular service and the offers they have going right now.
I mean, that's cool, but I'm assuming that it's probably kind of expensive, right?
Yeah, that's funny. Consumer Cellular is a steal of a deal. I don't know why more people have not made this switch. Nationwide service, fraction of the price, the 2 for $60 plan, no long-term contract. I mean, it's awesome.
All right, I'm in. So how do I get this deal?
They basically have an elite pit crew on standby waiting for you to call and make the switch. It's 100% U.S.-based customer service. takes around 20 minutes, and it'll be one of the best decisions you ever make. And now it couldn't be a better time to switch to Consumer Cellular and get $25 off with code DJD25. That's DJD25 for $25 off when you switch to Consumer Cellular. Go to consumercellular.com/DJD and use promo code DJD25.
We got done with Victory Lane, and I ran to the media center and was sitting there doing some of that. And I text Stefan, and I'm like, "Hey man, he's here. You're sitting next to me at this point."
Yep.
And I text Stefan. I said, "Hey, can they get me out of here?" Because I wanted to get to the tech.
Yeah.
I was like super nervous. Even when I'm not at the track and we win a race, like I won't tweet, like woohoo, I won't tweet anything until I hear text clear.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, So I ran over to the garage, and they're pulling the left side trailing arm off, and they're doing all kinds of stuff, right, that they do every week. And I'm standing there, and those
You were
tech
nervous.
I was nervous as hell. And so, because I watched us go through tech on Friday, and they were tough.
Mm-hmm.
They teched the out of us.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, dang, this ain't over yet. And, this has been an awesome damn day, but it'll all go to right here in a minute if they don't like something.
Yeah.
So I stood there and went through that. That was pretty exhilarating.
Yeah. I remember I walked over and I was like, I asked you, I was like, everything good? And you're like, oh man, they're looking at this left rear trailing arm really closely. And I didn't get like a, oh yeah, we're good kind of vibe. It was like a,
not yet.
I don't know yet kind of vibe.
Yeah. They have these little tools, and they're messing with the surfaces of the, where the trailer arm mates up with the rear end housing and so forth, and there's a couple parts and pieces in there, and they're messing, they're looking, and then they put it down, and it's like, okay, all right, I think we're good there.
Yeah.
The guy moves on to another part. Well, here comes another guy. He squats down. He's messing with it, and I'm like,
It's not over yet.
what's this guy looking at? Why is he doing it? The other guy looked at it. It's good. But they ain't no bullshit. Them inspectors.
Yeah.
They ain't playing no favorites.
No, they have no friends.
So moving on to Sunday, Chase Briscoe wins the Cup race. Finally gets him a win for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's going to be calling in here in a minute. That was a pretty interesting race. Connor, did you watch?
Yeah, I watched bits and pieces. The Cup cars, it's tough to pass.
Yeah.
But Chase did an awesome job. Man, he did a great job managing. That had to have been nerve-wracking. I went through that at Watkins Glen, having to save gas, and every time you step on the gas after a corner, you're hoping it just doesn't stumble, and the sense of relief coming off that last corner on the last lap is second to none when you're in a fuel saving race. So the fact he was able to save fuel, manage hitting his corners, and keeping probably the best in our industry behind him in Denny was impressive. And there were times in the race where it was more exciting than others. There was some good racing early on. There was some passing, but the majority of it was really tough to, especially the leader. The leader in clean air is just it's so dominant.
Yeah, this was a tough one. I thought as a broadcast we did a good job making 3 cars running nose to tail single file for 30 laps to the end sound pretty good. The risk of the fuel issue for Briscoe made it a curious moment, which helped a little bit. But yeah, it was frustrating to kind of sit there and watch that, the top 5 not really be able to do much to each other. The track was faster. The track had more grip. There were a lot of variables that made passing harder. This car, as we know, is really difficult in dirty air. You need all that clean air coming under that splitter and get to the diffuser in the back. And some of the variables is in terms of the grip and the speed and comfort that the guys had. Not that the cars were easy to drive, but it made getting to a car and getting around them harder on Sunday. everybody from sixth on back was in such air that nobody was comfortable, and you could pass because everybody was struggling.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you got into the top 5, it got harder and harder, and literally impossible.
Yeah.
Once you're in second or third, you were not going to pass the car in front of you. That's a problem. I would say that it's one thing about the car I don't really love, but it is what it is, and we talk about it. We got a stat now called defense that we talk about, where literally, we say, hey, this guy's really good at looking at the mirror and putting his car where it needs to be to keep the guy behind him.
Yeah.
It's a reality of Cup racing now, and so we discuss it. I wish we didn't, because I wish it didn't exist. But
and the digital mirrors changed the game too. Like having that thing is like when I ran the race at Charlotte. It's funny actually. Josh Berry and the Penske organization at the Coke 600 was not fantastic,
good.
And he was back there with me racing. I don't know. We were racing for 30th, and I'm trying to learn. Right, I'm out there for experience, so I'm mirror driving him for 30th. Just air blocking him for last place, basically. I felt bad, but it's just crazy how much you can destroy the person behind you. You can just destroy the race if you want. Like if you want to be that guy, you can be that guy, and just it's crazy. And the digital mirror makes it so easy to see where they are, and it's completely changed the game. And guys who are good at doing that succeed. Guys like Ross.
That's right.
Ross is one of the best at it. So it's changed the game.
Well, Chase is here. Chase Briscoe, the winner for Pocono this past weekend. Thanks for calling us up, man. You got me and Connor Zilisch. Connor's my co-host today. How's it going?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Congrats to both of you, by the way.
I appreciate
too.
it.
Thanks,
Same
man.
to you. We were just talking about, Connor was sharing some moments from the 600 and how he's learned about the the way you can defend your position with the Cup car. I think the fun conversation around the defense part and the air blocking and things, whatever we want to call this, is every drive. So it takes the reason why Joey's good at it, the reason why Chastain's really good at it, is because they're willing to be the biggest out there, right? And it's not ingrained in all of us to be selfish and purely selfish, right? But you have to be. I always tried to, speaking frankly here, I want to be everybody's buddy. Everywhere I go around the racetrack on the weekend, I want to be friends with Chase. I want to be friends with everybody. And, when I raced, I wanted to get out of the car and go, hey, man, that was fun. You good? Did you, hope you liked racing me, right? Now, we'd go to Daytona and Talladega, and I would have to tell myself before I got in the car, you're going to have to be an asshole today. Because it wasn't ingrained in me to go out there and drive like that. I didn't do things intentionally like, screw you, run you into the wall. I don't care about your race. But I knew to be good at Daytona and Talladega, I kind of had to be a bit of a jerk. And I think the way the Cup car is today, you have to be a jerk everywhere you go. Am I overstating this, Chase, or is that really part of the game?
I think it's super accurate to what you're saying. There's some guys that are certainly, just more willing to do it or okay with, living that way. But honestly, I feel like you've seen this evolution to where, 5 years ago it was, a couple guys that were okay with doing it, thought it was just part of the game, where now it's really the whole field. But, some guys are still more egregious with it, I would say, than others. But all of us are doing it to a certain extent. And that's something that, even my dad has been getting on to me a lot about this over the course of the last years. He's like, you got to start being dirtier, with your mirror. I'm like, well, that's not how you raised me to race. You don't race that way. He's like, well, everybody else is going to do it, so you need to be doing it too if you're going to win these races. So it's honestly just part of the game now, because it is such a tool in the toolbox. You can do so many things to manipulate the guy behind you. And yeah, a lot of the time, especially on mile and a half racetracks, I mean, you literally just go into the corner and say you go to the bottom and that guy goes to the middle. You just turn your hands to the right and drive straight in front of him because it gets him so tight. So it's frustrating to race that way. And obviously, whenever you're trying to pass somebody, it's extremely frustrating. But it's certainly a huge tool that you have as a race car driver now, is just manipulating the air. And the air and dirty air has always been a thing in racing, but we just have been getting smarter and smarter with it, and realize more and more how big of a tool it actually is over the course of the last 20 years.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, let's talk about this job you did on Sunday. We watched you pull out of your pit box early. There was some miscommunication on what needed to happen there. They wanted you to wait on fuel. How did that happen?
Yeah, so whenever you're waiting on fuel, especially at Pocono, you're going to be waiting on fuel because honestly, almost everywhere we go now, we almost wait on fuel because the tires get changed so much faster than when they can put fuel in it if you're needing to fill up the tank. But James had came over the radio, said, "Hey, you're going to be going on me." So the tire stop itself, I felt like was a little slow. So I was just anticipating already that I wasn't going to be sitting there waiting as long. And the pit stop before, I mean, all but stalled the car. I mean, it was so close to stalling. So as they got done with the left side tires, I just started revving it up. I mean, I'm like rod checking this thing in the pit box, like almost $8,000. And James came over the radio, and he was just keyed up the whole time. And I think he went to say wait, but as soon as I heard anything, I just went. Because it was so loud, I literally couldn't hear. So as soon as I heard a voice of any kind, I just assumed that meant go. But he was saying waiting, waiting, and then he was going to say go. So I just went. And as soon as I went, I let off the clutch while the engine gets quieter because it's not revved up so high. And I could hear him saying wait. And if you go back and watch the broadcast, like, you see me almost like stop or not stop. I'm still rolling, but I'm not spinning anymore because I instantly tried to get off the gas and try to sit there as long as I could. And my fuel guy honestly won the race. He had a zero plug, which is essentially like as soon as the car is stopping, he was already engaged, and he actually followed it out. And those couple tenths of a gallon that we were able to get because of him was honestly the biggest reason that we won the race.
Damn, that's awesome. I think that I saw some fans wondering if the Prime broadcasts were overstating the seriousness of the situation, but knowing if you could see the body language of the team, James on pit box and the dialogue between you and him on the radio, you knew that this was a very serious situation. I would have said, once you got off pit road and on the racetrack and I heard James and all that stuff go down, I'm thinking, ain't no damn way he's making it to the finish. I would have bet anything on it. How do you think, I guess, we know you saved the fuel. How do you learn how to do that?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I was kind of learning as I go as well. I've never really been in that situation, certainly in the lead. I've done it before where I was running, 18th and we're just trying to get to the end. But as soon as I came off pit road, I obviously knew that I'd left early. So as soon as I pulled onto the back straightaway, I just started running, wide open halfway down the straightaway and then 50% throttle the rest. And the next lap I came around, I think it was Denny pit, and I looked in my mirror and I knew that he was back on the racetrack and he was, a straightaway behind me. So I instantly just kept trying to save more and more and more. And then the caution came out. So as soon as the caution came out, cut it off. I think it took us 2 laps just to catch the field. We were going so slow trying to just save fuel. And under the caution, obviously I was able to save a ton. Literally as soon as I got to the restart zone, I finally fired it back up and went to second gear. Like, I was just doing everything I could to just absolutely maximize saving. And under that next green flag run, they told me what I was doing with the partial throttle running 50% was going to run us out anyways. So just start lifting all the way. So, at Pocono, there's those kind of 3 sets of cones getting into the corner. Turn 1, for example, we're typically just past the 1 cone. So it goes 3, 2, 1. I was all the way lifting out before the cones even started and would just roll. And there was parts of the race where I was cutting the ignition off but the power steering would go out and I'd miss my corner, and so I ended up just leaving it running. But then also on top of all that, I was just short shifting every straightaway. I would try to just get to fifth gear as soon as I came off the corner. And then a lot of the time during the race, I would run fourth gear through the tunnel turn, and I just started leaving it in fifth, just trying to save a little bit of fuel. So, I mean, it kind of took it all, right? It all added up just to give us that little bit to be able to, finish the race. I mean, it literally ran out as I pulled into victory lane. Obviously, I did a burnout, but I also cut it off as soon as I took the checkered flag because I was wanting to do a burnout. So, yeah, I didn't have very much left.
I saw that, man. Y'all's commitment to the burnout is should be celebrated because I saw you cut the engine, and then you crank all that front brake in to do the burnout. I really appreciate that. I do want to ask you before you leave, and I'm hoping you give us the good answer, but this in-race tournament, we got 5 races here with TNT getting ready to start it this weekend. And there's an in-race tournament for $1 million. I bet, I would say if I'm a driver going into Atlanta, I'm not really, that concerned with it. It is what it is. However, I want to go do well in Atlanta, and that's what I'm going to be thinking about. Let's assume that Chase Briscoe gets through rounds 1 and 2 and he's still in the tournament. At what point do you start to give a and think, man, I might get $1 million here?
I mean, I'm worried about it already. Week 1.
Who are you racing against this weekend?
Noah. So I was already talking smack to him. Me and Noah golf almost every single weekend together, and we're probably, out of everybody on like the circuit, I probably talked to Noah more than anybody. So yeah, he was actually my first text after the race. They sent me the bracket thing, and I told him, I said, I'm coming for you. And he said, well, you already won, so I'm just going to wreck you lap 1.
I was wondering. I was like, man, does it get to a point? I mean, you're racing for $1 million. Like, if you're side by side with this guy for 14th place come the last race of the thing, like, what are you doing to win $1 million? Like, you're gonna wreck a guy for 14th?
I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting because like we've never done it where you're just racing head to head, right? Like in the playoffs, you're only racing against 15 or 11 or 7 or 3 other guys, but it's never just been head to head. So that is going to be interesting. I think in the racetracks that it's at are just very hard racetracks. I feel like to be racing kind of head to head. The road courses, they can do something completely different. And truthfully, the teams don't care about the head to head part, right? Like they're trying to maximize the finish, where the driver is almost more concerned about the head to head deal. At times, especially if you haven't, had the best year, you're trying to win $1 million. So it's going to be interesting just to kind of see how that plays out, because I really don't think the teams, are going to call their strategy based on just, one other guy, right? Where in the playoffs, you do call your strategy based around the other guys. So I don't know. It is going to be fun, I think, just to have that element. I love like college basketball and March Madness and everything. So I think bringing that element, especially this part of the season where, it is kind of like the dog days of summer where like you don't really have much to talk about, I think will be really exciting for our sport. And yeah, hopefully all the drivers embrace it. I saw some guys didn't even know what was going on. I certainly have already checked out everybody in my bracket. And I feel like I have a hard road to get there, but it'll be pretty rewarding if we do.
If a driver says they don't know about it and don't know what you win, they're full of shit.
Yeah, I agree.
They're trying to sound too cool for school, if you ask me. The last thing I'll ask you, you've given us too much time, so we're very thankful. But,
no problem.
Do you know how much of the $1 million you get to keep?
I have no idea. That's a great question. Yeah, I have no clue. Because
are you going to go ask?
I don't even know if when I did my contract with JGR, if we even knew that the season tournament was going to happen. So, that's probably
you better go write an amendment.
That's funny.
You might want to add a new page to that contract, buddy.
Yeah, I might need to.
You got a little leverage now.
As a car owner, what would you give your driver?
I would give you all of it.
Hell yeah.
I like you as a car owner.
Yeah, I've already made my budget was set when the season started.
Yeah, but I can't win it without the car.
I know, but I've already budgeted what I'm going to spend on you this year.
All right. Well, I like it. I like your answer.
We got the sponsorship. We got everything lined up. You go race.
There's a lot of diapers you can buy with $1 million. I like that.
How is dad life? I'm sorry, we're sorry keeping you, but how's 3 kids? It's got to be a lot.
It's good. We
Twins.
can talk here for an hour if you want. It's no, it's been a lot of fun. It's wild. Twins is a lot. Going from 1 to 3 right away is definitely just craziness. Because
Oh man.
at some point somebody's always crying or something. Somebody's got to blow out.
You go from man to man to
The
zone defense.
Yeah, real
Yep.
quick. It's
Yeah.
honestly, it's not been as hard as I anticipated up to this point. I'm sure my wife would not love hearing that answer. But I think within the next month they're going to be crawling, and then it's going to be absolute full-blown chaos.
Chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are the
Well, we've-
twins?
They're 8.5 months. Yeah, so
goodness.
they're about to be moving, and it's crazy. I remember with Brooks, I was like wanting him to crawl, I was wanting him to walk, do all these things, and then as soon as he starts doing it, you're like, man, it's pretty nice when you just put him on the bed and you knew he wasn't going to go anywhere. So it's going to be chaos with the twins when that happens.
Yeah. Well, all right, buddy. We're gonna let you go, man. Thanks so much. Good luck going forward. See you in Atlanta.
Yeah, see you guys. Thank you.
Hey, it's Dale Jr. Did you know that we've got brand new merch from our Stars, Stripes, and Beers collection available now? We've got tanks, tees, beach towels, and more just in time for summer. Check it all out at shop.dirtymomedia.com. Hey, everybody, it's Junior, and this is an episode of Ask Junior, or a segment of Ask Junior for the Dale Jr. download. And appreciate everybody tuning in. Want to say thanks to Xfinity. As you know, Xfinity Wi-Fi is booming. That's what we're using right now as we speak. And it's booming like the roar of a NASCAR engine on race day. Fast as a V8 engine, reliable as an elite pit crew. Gives you the power and speed to have NASCAR in your home or podcast, whatever you want to do. Choose the right plan for you, and you're off to the races. And it's a great experience. It's a great experience actually being a customer. Sometimes you'll get an email and they'll say, "Hey, we're going to double your speed," just because. I don't know why they do that, but I love it. We're always ready to go faster around here, and Xfinity Wi-Fi gets the job done. So thank you, Xfinity, for everything you do for us. They've been a great partner here for the Dirty Mo Media crew for years, supporting NASCAR in all types of ways, obviously. So just a great partner. We love the support, and we love being customers. So thank you. So let's get right to it, man. Let's get some questions. Are we populating out there?
We are. Yeah, someone in the YouTube chat says, "Is this real?" So yeah, we are
What
live.
real?
I don't know. Like,
Oh.
is real life? I don't know. If they're
Do I
talking
need to
about
hold up a sign like with my?
yeah, like
my-
with today's newspaper.
Yeah.
But no, the YouTube chat is going. It's great to see everybody. But this first question is from Pat, and they saw you tweeted a great story. I think it was yesterday about Mark Martin, and they wanted to know, like, what was that moment like watching Mark arc into the corner, and what other lessons have you learned from him over the years?
Yeah, so it was early in the morning. Yeah, it's a fun Twitter post I made. Just kind of came to me, but I'll never forget this moment. I never will. There's some moments in life, right, that just imprint. And I was young. Mark was always the car to beat when we would go to Xfinity races, and he would unload the Winn-Dixie car. It was like, gosh, he just had another 3/10 that nobody had everywhere. And it was just like Kyle Busch in the Xfinity Series. He was going to be one of the guys that he's going to go out there and lead every lap, and it's going to be hard to beat. But you would watch him in practice, and we would show up, and Xfinity was the first. They didn't have the Truck Series back then. Xfinity was the first car on the racetrack for the weekend. Track hadn't had a lap on it. A little bit dirty, very green, dusty a little bit. We pull out on the racetrack, and he would go out and put a lap down. He would hammer the gas and drive off into one full commit. I'm in my first or second year of Xfinity, and I got to work up to it. I'm going to run my best lap around lap 5 or 6 and still be in the top 5 in practice, right? If not one of the fastest cars. But Mark could go out there and just boom off into one. I'm like, So I wasn't. I wanted to be great at Charlotte, and it was a track that was very intimidating to me. Had a very nasty bump down into turn one. I'd busted my ass and wrecked a car there testing, and I'd wrecked off a turn. I'd wrecked a lot at Charlotte. So I'm like, I pull out on pit road, and there's Mark Martin sitting there waiting for the official to wave us onto the track, and I work my way up there toward Mark. I'm gonna follow him out there. So we go off on the racetrack, and I'm going through the gears. He's hauling ass. I'm like, I'm trying to keep up with him. We go through 3 and 4 wide open, trying to build up speed. Come off turn 4, bouncing around down the front straightaway, and I'm like, man, I'm scared. It's the only word I can really use to describe it. I'm scared because I know to stay with him, I'm gonna have to go in the corner like he does, and that's hard to do. And I didn't want to wreck. I'd wrecked a lot at Charlotte. I just was like, I got to figure Charlotte out. And we're headed down the front straightaway, and I start to fade to arc turn into the corner. I start fading left to get down into the bottom of the corner, and he just drives straight, really wide arc, and just stealing the gas. And there's dirt flying off the right side tires because he's out there in that nasty mess. And it wow down in there, and he's gone. I was like, God almighty. How? How did he? Why? He didn't have to do that. He knows his car's amazing. He knows it's going to be fast. He doesn't have to go out there and really do anything in practice. He's just going to, qualify and race and win. But here he is, first minute of practice, he has went off into that corner faster than anybody else will go all weekend. And I was like, holy dude, I mean, that's what a Cup driver is right there. I got a long ways to go. And, man, it was something. I'll never forget it. Mark, I would end up racing Mark a little bit throughout the year in 98 and 99. One of my proudest moments was passing him at Richmond on the outside and beating him. Heads up. Holy man, I was proud because I knew Dad was watching and all that, And Mark has always been so supportive to me, friendly to me. We were teammates. But he taught me and everyone else during those years when he was racing the Xfinity Series so much. And he was such a great example for folks like me to sort of try to emulate. And I might be Dale Earnhardt's son, but I'll be honest, a lot of the things that I learned on the racetrack and what I was able to do as a driver in my career are due to Mark Martin and what he taught me. So, he was a great guy to race against and learn from.
Wow. I love that. Yeah. I love that you kind of mentioned the fearlessness of just go. That's the one thing I don't think I can comprehend quite yet about you race car drivers. It's just like you have to have a certain level of fearlessness to attack each corner the way you do. Yeah. But next question is from Tom. How was the beer toast as a crew chief? You didn't get to celebrate it as an owner, but as the winning crew chief, how was that?
So I was not going to be there physically for the beer toast that they had scheduled. So I called the shop and I said, "Hey, I'm coming over and I just want to speak to the employees." I didn't want to do a beer toast. I didn't even think about ringing the victory bell. All I wanted was to get a microphone and say to everybody, "Thank you." And so, but they, as our employees do, they take the baton and they do what they do. And when I got there, we ended up ringing the bell a little bit, but so Allie got to ring it, which was fine. I did not want to do it, but I didn't even think about it. I just wanted to say thank you because being able to sit on the pit box and pit and crew chief the race was something I would have never asked for. There's certainly people at Junior Motorsports that are more qualified, have done it already, that have the experience, that could do it. So I would have never assumed or asked for that opportunity, but it was great to go through that experience. I was way more involved in what happened on Saturday than I thought I would be. Man, it just like it was a damn dream come true. It got really comfortable. Like I guess in stage 2, I got super comfortable with kind of helping run things as it was. But it was great. Man, what a great experience.
As the owner, you obviously see all the hard work that gets done in the shop, but as the crew chief and then seeing the things that they made your job easier, do you have a greater appreciation this week for the crew and the shop floor?
I think the appreciation was already way up there. It's just I'm just grateful to be able to have this opportunity to see the sport through so many different vantage points and lenses, right? Man, I would have never thought that I would get a chance to live a day in a crew chief's shoes, right? And that's what happened. I went through the entire weekend and just really tried to understand the experience, and it's a lot of pressure. I knew they were under a lot of pressure, and I'm sitting there going, "All right, we can try this strategy, win the stage, and stay out and run to lap, 70 or so, or 67, 68. Nobody else is going to do this, so I'm gonna stick out like a sore thumb. And if I run Connor out of gas, everybody's going to go, "Yep, that's why Dale Jr. shouldn't have been on the pit box." And so I was standing there I was standing over the engineers, literally, shouting at them, going, "Are you sure we can make it on fuel? Because god darn, we're going to look like idiots." And so I was so angry. But I needed to, scare the truth out of them, I guess. But it was fun as hell. But I was like, if we do this, we got to be sure about it. And I asked the engineer next to me, I said, "I want to be one lap to the good on fuel. Can I be one lap to the good on fuel? Can you promise me we can run a 101 lap race?" And he said, "Yep, no problem." And then I screamed at him a couple times to tell me if that was true or not. And he said he never changed his answer. And I was like, "All right, I'm buying in. We're doing it." And so we made the commitment to make that strategy work. And we had talked about that strategy on Wednesday in the meeting, in the team debrief. And so it was sitting right there in front of us, like, "Hey, here's your chance." Mm-hmm. And that's not really what won the race. Connor won. We lost the track position that we were trying to get through the strategy, and Connor went back and got it past the 2 at the end. So he's the reason we won the race, not the pit call, but it was fun as running that deal. And I'm telling you, by the 3rd stage, I was running it. Sorry for my language.
Hell yeah, dude!
I was on it. It was my team by that point. It was awesome.
It sounds like a blast.
It was a blast.
I do have a follow-up about the beer toast, but since we're on the topic, you're talking about all the different vantage points that you have been able to do. And I saw a comment in the YouTube chat from Kelly. Is the next job going to be spotting? Could we ever see you up on the spotter stand?
I spotted for my friend Brad Means. That's Jimmy Means' son. He was racing a late model at Tri-County in 1997 or 8.
All right, so you did it.
I spotted for him and drove him right into a wreck. So,
oh, great.
Yeah, I don't want to spot. Spotting is miserable, man. They're up on the roof. It's your cover. You can't. You gotta wear long sleeves. It's 100 degrees.
Get a cool shirt.
It's hot. It's miserable, and you get blamed for everything. And I don't know, no fun. And they're moody, and they're a little. Oh boy, the spotter gossip and the back. Oh, I don't know. That ain't for me. TJ's told me enough to make me not want to ever spot.
Yeah.
He even he's like, "Hey, come up on the roof and watch from up there." I'm like, "No." What? No, I'll just get in a suite right underneath you. But yeah, I would absolutely love to crew chief again. Now, I'm not, and you can, we talk about this early in the show. There's things about the crew chiefing job that I didn't do, surely. Yes, I understand that. I'm not a fool. I know there were a lot of things. I never fooled with the adjustments that we made between practice and qualifying and then getting the car from qualifying back into the race. I let Pat handle that. I didn't even know what they did. You know, I could see it on a sheet, look at it, but I didn't care. I'm like, I'm not messing with that. You just make sure you do what you're supposed to do, Pat. But I would love to call a race again. It's fun. It's an adrenaline rush. And getting off the pit box and just setting that tire down there, it's not hard to do, but you can screw it up. And the guys that are coming around the car, the jackman, the changer, they'll tell you, don't screw it up. These are the things you can do to slow this pit stop down. Don't do that. So, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to be part of it. And it's fun to get on the radio and coach the driver to fire up the pit crew for the pit stops and stuff. They respond to that, you know. And that was neat, being the coach, if you will. That was freaking awesome.
So it's fun to be a crew chief, not fun to be a spotter.
Listen, we won the race too.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
yeah. Well, it's always fun when you win.
Yeah, it's fun because it all worked out. Now, it could have been really miserable very easily. Yeah.
But, for example, it wouldn't be fun if you get blamed for your driver coming down pit road when it's closed, which leads into the next question from Dan. Yeah. Have you given TJ hell for Brad missing pit road?
I wasn't sure if that was a TJ deal or not.
I think it's a Brad deal.
TJ,
I'm gonna hold off.
Fair enough.
I'll say, let's say, what do you think TJ's gonna come in here and say?
Oh, I don't know. I saw him yesterday, and he spoke to me like he was a team player. He's like, yeah, could have done better on that.
He's not gonna say it's Brad's fault 100% though.
Oh, I didn't think. I thought we'd never hear TJ claim any responsibility.
Maybe that's why he told me and then took the week off.
That's why he's not here, because he doesn't want to have to.
Yeah. He's at home right now. No, he's
Yeah.
not. He's not. He doesn't ditch.
Has that ever happened to you, Dale? Or like, how does that happen?
I mean, it could happen in a number of ways. Either the information, somebody could talk over the top of somebody, and the information doesn't get to the driver, and he doesn't know what to do. The spotter could give you the wrong information, tell you to come down pit road when it's closed, when it's tell you it's open. Come on. The crew chief could make the call. I mean, there's multiple ways of how that could happen accidentally, and we were all dumbfounded when it did, and we could stand there and go, "Wow, what a bunch of idiots! Look at the 6. How do you screw that up?"
Yeah.
But it happens. It can happen in to the best. And man, well, I remember one of the dumbest things where I think it's Bristol. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this even today. It's so dumb. Caution comes out, going down the back straightaway. Immediately get on the microphone, mash the button, and I'm talking to Tony Jr. and I'm telling him all the things that I want him to fix on the race car. It's too loose, it's too, I think we could do this. I'm giving him all this great information, man. I'm like, oh, man, I'm really helping here. We're going to get this car adjusted, and we're going to haul ass. And I get off the button, and he goes, well, all that's great, but I needed you to come down pit road with everybody else. Oh. And I had talked on the microphone all the way around the racetrack, past the entrance to pit road, and missed the opportunity to come and pit.
God.
And I knew it because I'm watching everybody go down pit road, and I'm like, "What?" It's just a dumb mistake, but those things can happen.
It's like when you're like in a long phone call and like you miss your exit, just like driving down the. Oh man, yeah, that is embarrassing.
Yeah,
thank you for sharing.
Happens to the best.
Well, that is a good place to wrap Ash Jr. this week. It was a lot of fun, but thanks to our friends at Xfinity. Yeah,
thank you, Xfinity. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I hope you'll listen to the rest of the show. We have, we had Connor Zilisch on to talk about the Xfinity win, Chase Briscoe, and also listen to the White Flag. There's some good information about all the content we have going out this week, and also at the end of the White Flag, you'll learn about the next episode of Becoming Earnhardt that's coming out on Sunday. We've got the 4th episode coming out, we're focusing on the 1980 season. It's really good this year. You guys got to check it out. I'm pretty pumped about it. So anyhow, thank y'all. I've had a great weekend at Pocono, getting ready and geared up for TNT and Atlanta and all that good stuff. So a lot of work to do this week, but we'll see you. Thank you, Xfinity, for supporting the Ask Junior segment. Be sure to check out Xfinity Wi-Fi. Experience the booming speeds for yourself. It's fast, and as NASCAR fans, we love everything quick. And just choose the right plan for yourself, and you're off to the races. You're streaming everything you need. NASCAR, all your favorite sports. And they don't raise the bar. They stream in overdrive. They're a proud premier partner of NASCAR. Thank you, Xfinity, and we'll see y'all later. All right, it's time for this month's selection of our Ultimate Racing Collector. That's presented by Lionel Racing, the official diecast of NASCAR. Lionel Racing, they're your go-to source for all your racing diecast needs. Check out the latest pre-orders at lionelracing.com. I'm going to be getting the race win of Connor Zilisch, and I will be paying American dollars for it. I'm going to go out there and buy it myself. I'm probably get Connor to autograph it for me. I think they're selling an autograph version with my autograph on the back and Connor's on the front as well. So
That's cool.
Yeah, that'll be really cool. But let's take a look here. This month's winner is going to go out to Matt Frederick. Matt, good job. Congratulations. I've got the video right here. Looking at Matt's house, he's got some body panels, quarter panel piece from Kyle Busch, and a wall of die casts. Tons and tons of die casts. I love it.
It's a mirrors behind it, so I don't know. It just makes it pop.
I agree with that, man. Good job.
This is
all stacked up,
Lord.
wall mounted.
He's got a fire suit hanging.
Yep. I'm not there yet. Stop it. Just a good job, man. I know you've got a ton invested in this, and proudly displaying all these different die casts. And wow, incredible, man. So many. There's the fire suit, the old Ortho. I wonder who that is. It's probably like a Greg Biffle or somebody. He's got some other stuff going on, some cans and things. Pretty neat. More quarter panels. Oh, we got another room over here, boy. Some more stuff, more die cast. Got his TV. Got a little man cave. Pretty awesome. And a Larson poster, a Hamlin poster.
There we go.
Yeah, he's one of the Denny bros. Eric Jones and Denny Hamlin right there. Sports clips. Good job, man. All right, Matt, congratulations. Appreciate the video. Good job filming. Even if you didn't win this month, give it a try. Next month, we'll announce another winner. Keep sending us all these great collections. We appreciate everybody who's out there supporting the diecast industry. I'm a collector, and I enjoy being a part of it. So, yeah, good job. All right, it's time for the Dirty Modo segment with Tampa Tims, and Russell is back with Racing Insights. Thank you, Russell, for joining us today. Tampa Tims, how y'all doing?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Russell?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, appreciate everybody coming in. Let's go ahead and get right to it, man. For the Pocono race, we had our manufacturer's parlay. Denny Hamlin, Byron in the Chevy, and Blaney in the Ford. We did not win. What the hell?
Well, Briscoe
didn't we
killed
win?
us.
It's not our
Briscoe
fault.
Yeah.
killed us, for sure.
Man.
Came out of nowhere. You're not good
Yeah.
at Pocono.
Denny Bros failed us.
Yes.
No, I didn't. No, Denny failed us, not the Denny Bros. It's a big
Denny
difference.
couldn't get it done.
Yeah, he needs to
Well,
step it up.
He does. We head to Atlanta. I think this is a waste of time. But I'm going to ask the question, what does the predictor tell us, Russell?
Thanks a lot, Dale. I got Blaney and Byron up top.
Oh,
They're
really?
the leading one.
Oh, boy. Who else?
But here, I have a sleeper here in the top 5 this week.
oh.
Austin Cindrix is third this week.
Oh.
Then we go the Bell, Chase Elliott, then Kyle Busch. He made it to tier 2 this week. Larson, another surprising one, and Joey Logano.
All right. Here, I'm just going to get the parlay out of the way because that's got my mind rolling. A Chevy driver is going to be Kyle Busch, even though he unintentionally said some really dumb stuff about me crew chiefing. He didn't mean to sound dumb, but he accidentally sounded dumb. Kyle Busch is my Chevy driver. Austin Cindric will be my Ford. And my Toyota driver, who's in a must win. What's it? Because Denny's not gonna.
Bubba Reddick.
Yeah. Phew. Bubba. Reddick will be up there, but he'll do something. He'll wreck himself.
Ty Gibbs is in a must-win too.
Yeah, but I don't like him in Atlanta. Bubba I like better. So Bubba, Kyle Busch, and Cindric. What do you think for that parlay?
I like that. I like that.
There's not much else you can like in Atlanta.
No.
I mean, you can't even get close to being happy trying to make a bet around that race. But that's not too bad. We'll go with that. Let's talk about the bracket challenge. That is one thing we can do with Atlanta, right? And the bracket challenge is going to give us tons of opportunities to get outside, because you don't want to bet a winner on this week. You don't want to do any of that dumb stuff. You're just pissing money away. But the bracket challenge is going to present so much opportunity for us to feel like we're making a confident decision. The featured matchups, now you can bet on every matchup and parlay them also. But the featured matchups we're going to do right here today are Keselowski versus Kyle Busch, Joe Logano versus Alex Bowman, Larson versus Reddick, and Chastain versus Eric Jones. In the Keselowski Kyle Busch matchup, Kyle is favored at -130. And again, we have him in our parlays, so I think we all are going to say that Kyle Busch wins this out.
Yeah, I would agree.
He goes and makes it happen.
I think he's a sneaky one to go all the way.
Yeah.
But because if you look at how this plays out, he's great at.
Does Kyle
Atlanta.
Busch go winless this year, but wins the bracket and $1 million?
I think he could.
Wow.
He gets past Atlanta, then you go to Chicago where he finished 5th and 9th in both races there, and he could be up against Denny there, who's not good on road courses lately. Then he goes to Sonoma. His average finish with RCR there is 7th. Then he goes to Dover. He's on the pole there last year and finished 4th. He's a 2-time Brickyard winner. So, and he's in the weakest, if you say quadrant, group.
Oh, is that what we're going to say? Quadrant? Yeah. I don't think we're going to use. We're not going to say that again. We're not going to name these things quadrants. You're the people. You're the reason. You're the guy that we're calling these deals drafting tracks. You're the reason for that.
I am, and I stick by that.
All the people in the industry that are like me that want to continue to call them restrictor plate tracks, and we don't count Atlanta in that group, we got you to thank for all the confusion.
I could defend myself if you want, but if
you
you
walked into this sport and you just started doing your own just making shit up. All right, Alex Bowman, Joey Logano. Joey heavily favored.
Wouldn't even touch Joey. If you like this one, you bet Bowman. But I don't like this one at all.
But what about with the parlays?
Yeah, you could parlay Joey.
Would you put Joey and Denny together?
Not at Atlanta, no. Because Joey, it takes one bad block or takes one bad move, he's gone.
Why don't we let the expert tell us?
Well, that's why I'm asking the question.
Okay.
So you wouldn't take him because of the juice, though, right?
Yeah, you could mine on
it's
minus
not
230.
him moving on. It's more the juice wise.
I don't like minus 230, and I don't like the randomness of this track for him to be favored that much. That's a lot to lay. I like that.
Tyler Reddick versus Larson. Larson's favored here, even though he professes to not quite enjoy or understand really the style of racing. But he did. Hey, I will say this. Everybody that ran Atlanta last time came out of there saying that was the funnest they've done in a long time, right? So attitudes are changing around the style of racing in Atlanta. Does that mean Kyle Larson goes in and starts getting the results that we typically see from him at all the other racetracks.
He has the best average finish in the last 4 drafting tracks,
There it is. What
including
tracks are
third
those?
on the drafting track
he-
in Atlanta.
Michigan? That's a drafting track. Are
It's
you
not the
including
same-
that
it's-
stat? It's
no,
not the
no.
same. Why not? They draft.
It's not. They don't have the same rules.
Did
package.
you? We talked about it this weekend
It's
at
the rules
Pocono. They
package.
draft down the straightaway, the front straightaway. We talked about the draft at Pocono.
Did
You
we
include
qualify at Michigan? Did we qualify at Michigan?
Yeah.
Did we qualify at Atlanta?
Oh, I guess yeah.
We just qualify. It's not practice. We don't have practice. The same rules at
What the
every
hell?
drafting track.
Oh, what? So if practice doesn't exist, you call it a drafting track? What
Well,
is
that's
that?
one of the reasons. Yeah, and
That's crazy.
so
and the
silly.
same rules package.
It's silly.
Stupid.
It is. It's silly as hell.
What? It's all the same rules package.
It's this younger generation.
I've been doing this for a long time, Dale.
Well, you don't act like it. If you had been, you'd still be calling them restrictor plate tracks, and it would be Daytona and Talladega. And Atlanta, because Atlanta, what are you going to do when Atlanta ages? And we might be there this weekend, where Atlanta ages and they're all lifting and sliding around, and nobody's drafting or pack racing.
Then we'll remove it as a drafting track.
What?
It'll go back to being a mile and a half
It's going to. Be ready.
at some point.
Chastain versus Jones. Chastain massively favored here. Well, not really. It's basically Joey Logano and Bowman reversed. So Chastain's at minus 230. But man, I'm liking Eric Jones right now. Eric Jones has won races at Daytona. Eric Jones and that team are kind of on an uphill climb. I like this upset.
You can make the argument the 43 team has more speed than the 1 team right now. You could make that argument.
Yeah, I like Eric Jones here. I think this is incorrect. I think the odds are wrong.
So is Daytona a drafting track and Atlanta a drafting track? Is that why have you connected those on me?
Shut up. So I like Eric Jones here. Am I the only one?
No, I plus 165. I love that.
Well, I think we've done our work here. I think we've turned then this tough weekend into a easy win and easy victory for the bettors out there.
I agree.
Good job, fellas. Good luck, everybody. I can't bet, but you can. Dirty Modo. This Dirty Modo segment is brought to you by FanDuel. You can go on there and maybe get your profit boost. The premier gaming destination in the United States. Have some fun out there, but always bet responsibly, please. All right, it's time for the white flag. Thank you to Safety Culture for bringing us this episode of the Dale Jr. Download. Remember, from the racetrack to the factory floor, Safety Culture is the workplace operations tool that gives companies what they need to get the job done quick and improve every day. The teardown was live from YouTube and Twitter following the race on Sunday. Denny Hamlin returned for actions detrimental after taking a week off for the birth of his son. And Door Bumper Clear dropped on Monday as well. They had Kelly Crandall as a guest. She's a experienced part of the media group that follows and covers our sport. And also tomorrow, an interview with Daniel Suarez for the Dale Jr. Download will be dropping. I look forward to talking to Daniel tomorrow. Herman Schrader and Speed Street will be out on Wednesday as well. And then an episode of Bless Your Heart with my lovely wife, Amy. It's fun being in Victory Lane with her and the girls. We'll talk all about that and more. And then Sunday, the 4th episode of Becoming Earnhardt. We focus on the 1980 season in this series. And the 4th episode will be available for y'all. And we appreciate all they do to support what we're doing here. We'll see you next week.